Yo, 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 what is poppin' YouTube world? This is JTV. I am your host, Johnny Marino. I have been trying to get on this for a long time now, just wanted to make a video about what I want to do in the channel and everything, and it was just coming off so weird that it felt so fake, it felt so rehearsed that I had to step away for a few days, and now I'm here to make another one to try this again. But this time I was like, instead of just going in with no idea, and even though I thought I had an idea because I wrote this whole page, this whole script, and I was like, oh, this is going to be perfect. It's going to be amazing. But then the more and more I would watch it over, I just didn't like it. It felt so fake. It felt so rehearsed and corny. So now I'm here to try this one again. But I came to the table with an actual real idea this time. So I want to make this video something that I'm actually passionate about. So we're going to make this the first video on this YouTube channel about the NHL trade deadline because I am a huge hockey fan, not just a huge hockey fan in general, but I'm actually a big, big diehard New York Islanders fan, unfortunately. It's been a rough season this year. We don't know exactly what this team is or what they could be because they're kind of just stuck in neutral. They're stuck in mediocrity, and that is one of the worst places any franchise in any sport can be. But hockey is one of the worst, especially. So I didn't write down a script per se for this one, so this is just me rattling off the dome. But I did write down some notes and some things that I wanted to touch on and cover. So let's dive right into that. And like I said, I'm an Islanders fan, so we're going to start out with my team and a move that I think could be possible. I don't know if it's going to happen because there could be a lot of work that needs to go into it. But let's dive into it right now. And the first thing that I would like to see the Islanders do would be to trade JG Pageau. Now, I know that is a controversial take for a lot of Islanders fans because he was such a good locker room guy, such a big character guy. He brought a lot of juice to the team. He's a small, undersized forward, but he brings so much energy to the table. You know, especially if you watch the Islanders day in and day out, you know what I'm talking about. This the way that I do. Um, but he makes so much money, and we're not getting the 24 at least goals a season player that we thought we were going to get when we got him from Ottawa. So maybe now could be a little bit of would be the chance to move on, I guess what you could say. So he has 2 more years left on his deal right now at 5 million per. So that's a lot, like I said, especially for a guy that doesn't do what he was projected to do in the NHL. 5 million is a lot. So whatever team does want to take a chance on him, the Islanders would need to retain some salary there to make that trade work. Um, but he's a good character guy, like I already said. He could kill penalties really well. Also, he's better than average at faceoffs, so you could slot him right in there at third or fourth line C on a playoff team. Even if it's not a playoff team, even on a rebuilding team, he's a good character guy. He'll keep the room in check. He'll keep the young guys in check. He'll show them how to get adjusted to the NHL, what to look forward to, the things like that. Uh, like I said, good on the penalty kill, better than average at faceoffs. What teams could he possibly go to? That's a tough one. Maybe even a reunion in Ottawa because that franchise is in a little bit of a free fall right now. They're having some locker room issues. They got a lot of guys in there that are just going through the motions right now. Very disappointing season. They fired their coach in the beginning of the year. Yeah, it's just been a very disappointing season for them as well in Ottawa. So maybe he could go back there, help out in the locker room, and bring the morale back up. So on to another one. This one is a little more crazy than the Pajot one. This one, a lot of Islander fans are really not gonna like this one, but this one, Brock Nelson, man. He's a great guy, great player, very, very one of the most underrated players in the league, honestly. But he's 32 years old. The Islanders, as of right now, looks like they're not going anywhere this season. They're 9 points out of a playoff spot. They got to jump Tampa. They got to jump Detroit. A lot of things have to fall in their favor. They do have a few games at hand on those teams, maybe 1 or 2 games. I should have checked the standings, but I know they're 9 points out. And those are the 2 teams they're gonna have to jump most likely. So that's gonna be tough. Showtime, Patty Kane, huh? He's playing good. But yeah, Brock Nelson's 32 years old. He's got 2 more years left on this current deal. But the guy's scored 30 goals in back-to-back seasons. He's on pace to do it again this year. But like I said, the Islanders doesn't seem like they're going anywhere. It seems like they need a shake-up. It seems like they need something fresh. They need some new guys in there. And he's the best option they have, the highest trade value they could get for any player that they have that they'd be willing to move. I think they'd be willing to move at least. Because after these 2 years, he's going to be 34 years old at the end of his deal. And it just doesn't make sense for the Islanders to sign another veteran forward that late. So at some point, Lou Lamoriello is going to have to start building for the future and thinking towards the future. So maybe now with the team struggling, Patrick Waugh wants to get some of his guys in there, even though Brock Nelson is a great, great player. Again, 30-goal guy. But if you traded him now, you could get a hell of a haul. You could get at least 2 first-round picks, I would assume. You could get probably even a roster player on top of all the picks you could get. So it would be a big haul, and he's making $6 million. He's got a cap hit of $6 million for the next 2 years. So if the Islanders did trade that, that also free up them to make another move and even still do it this year at the trade deadline with the assets they would get from a Brock Nelson trade. But that one just seems unlikely to me. I feel that he would just play out his contract and they would just let him walk at the end of 2 years. But then you're going to let him walk and get nothing in 2 years. We already saw that with Tavares, how well that worked out for us. I mean, it really didn't hurt us in the long run. We've won more playoff rounds than them at this point. But what can you say? Again, 2 years left on this current deal. So you got to start going towards the future at some point. And like I said, right now, you'd get the maximum value you could for Brock Nelson. So we'll see what happens there with that one. Now let's go over to the other side of the page, and I'm just going to cover the 3 Metro teams in my area. I'm from New York, so, we hear about the Islanders, Devils, and Rangers the most. So on to the Rangers, the other team in town. They really need center depth. That's really their thing. They've been playing much, much better as of recently. They were just on a 10-game heater. Got it snapped at the time of this recording last night by the Columbus Blue Jackets 4-2. But they started out the year slow, a little shaky, very inconsistent, but they've really became one of the hottest teams in the league right now. As I said, coming off a 10-game win streak, they're starting to turn back into a wagon. Artemi Panarin is still incredible. Mika Zibanejad still doing cool things on the ice. So they could possibly get a guy maybe like Adam Henrique, but he's got a big contract as well. Also making $5.8 million a season, but he's a free agent at the end of this year, so it would just be a rental, and you could get him relatively cheap, I would assume. He's got 16 goals and 22 assists on the year, and he's on a bad Ducks team, but he's been he's been mentoring those young guys down there, Leo Carlson, Trevor Zegras. That's another one. Who knows what's going to happen with Trevor Zegras, but I don't think that move is going to happen until the offseason, at least the offseason. If they do decide that he's done, he's just not the type of player that the Ducks are going after at the moment. But yeah, he's playing pretty well on a really bad Ducks team. So if the Rangers picked him up, they could drop him into their third line. He'd be a great third line center on a playoff team, especially a team with cup aspirations such as the Rangers. So we'll see what happens there. Or maybe even a little, I've heard this one thrown around, but I don't think this one is too logical. Maybe Pavel Buchnevich, a reunion there. but the Blues have been playing so well. They're only 2 points out of the wild card in the West, excuse me, as we speak at the time of this recording. So we'll see what happens there. And now on to the third and final. We'll go to the New Jersey Devils. Really disappointing season for the Devils, huh? I'm sorry if you're a Devils fan, but sheesh, really disappointing season. They really need a goalie. They don't have a solid goaltender. They almost got Jacob Markstrom, as we heard at a couple weeks ago from the Calgary Flames. That would have been really good. That would have helped them out a lot. But they just don't. They don't get consistent goaltending. They can't defend. They could score, but they can't defend. It seems like Lindy Ruff, their coach, has really worn out his welcome, we'll say there. The fans were chanting "Fire Lindy" the other day at the Rock. So, they're a little fed up. They want some change. But Jack Hughes, still a wagon, still one of the best players in the NHL. Dude's been hurt a lot of the season. He's only played, He's only played 42 games this year, and he's got 18 goals, 34 assists, and 52 points. Kid's still a wagon. But then you go to the other side, and a guy, Timo Meier, that they just paid, and you'd want to see more from him. Even though he's been injured this season, you still want to see more from him. Like I said, look at Jack Hughes, 42 games, and Timo Meier's played 45 this year. A little underwhelming. He's only got 11 goals, 13 assists for 24 points. That's not what you want out of a guy like that. So the Devils have the Devils are, they're in free fall right now as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. They definitely need to get a new coach. They definitely need a goalie, but I don't see the goalie coming until the offseason as well. Because it's hard to pull off a trade like that, to get a Jacob Markstrom, a real starting caliber goalie like that. Even though he has good year, bad year, good year, bad year. He's hot, cold, hot, cold. He goes back and forth. He's having a cold year right now. So next year but the Calgary Flames, he has such a big contract that it'd be easier to move during the summer when you can get another team involved. Yeah, that's just such a hard contract to move, and I really don't see it happening. But stranger things have happened, but as of right now, the talks have been dead on both sides, so there's probably nothing coming there. But this trade deadline is going to be interesting to see what all three teams do, especially if the Islanders are going to be buyers, they're going to be sellers. I would imagine they're going to be doing a little bit of both because Lou doesn't have that much time. He's got to go. He's going all in. He's going for a cup. He fired the coach. He got Patrick Waugh in there. They started to look. There's been signs that things are starting to turn around, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen this year. Who knows? Maybe they'll go on their own heater. They'll win 10 out of their next 15. Who knows? Tonight will be a good night to do that. As we're recording this, they're playing the Dallas Stars tonight, but that's going to be a tough matchup. It's going to be a tough one. If the Islanders didn't have Sorokin, they'd be in some serious trouble. So you can't, if you have a starting goalie like that, you can't keep wasting years like this. You gotta get in there. You gotta go after it. You gotta get a cup. You got to at least make it to the cup now. They've made it to back-to-back conference finals. It's time to take that next step and go back to the finals. But we'll see what happens. I do think the Patrick Waugh hiring was a good hiring. I think it needed to be done. Lane Lampert wasn't a real coach, but, it's all right. And obviously, you give Patrick Waugh this year, next year, because I think next year, once he gets to get his guys in there and really they get half a year under him. They get to practice with him more. He'll get to learn them. They'll learn him. And then we'll see who they move out, who they bring, who they keep, because I'm sure Patrick Waugh is going to want to make some moves. I'm sure he's going to want to get some of his guys in there. The other day after the game, he was talking about confidence and things like that. So, yeah, he's where his head is at right now. He wants to get some new guys in there. He wants a little bit of a shakeup. And we'll see what happens. Like I said, the NHL trade deadline is March 8th. It's a little under 2 weeks away. So we'll see what happens there. And, yeah, I know this was a rough one, but thanks for stopping in. Thanks for taking a look at the video. It should be fun. And thanks a lot. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget, be nice. It's easy. Just Be nice. All right. Peace out, everyone.